Problem 23. Divide until the remainder is 0. So let's recall that the first always goes inside. So this will be 0.03 inside and 1.5. So after that we have, well, this divisor cannot be a decimal, so for us to move it, to convert it to a whole number, we got to move it once. So this is going to be moving one place, and this is going to be moving one place. Therefore we're going to obtain, let's see what we're going to end up having. We're going to have 15 divided into 0.3, and let's recall that the point here stands here. So let's say once again 15 goes into 0 times 15 is 0. We subtract 0. Well, the point started there, so bring the 3 down, and 15 goes into 3 times 15 is 0. We subtract, that gives us a 3. And recall that here we have as many zeros as we need, so let's bring 1 0 down. 15 goes into 30 how many times? Twice. 2 times 15 is 30. Oh, our remainder is 0, so we didn't need these zeros here anymore. Therefore our final answer should be 0.02. Let's keep moving forward. Problem 24. How many 1.2 foot pieces of wood can be cut from a board that is 21.6 feet long? So in other words, you are dividing each of them into small pieces. So you can do this problem into different ways. Either you just go straight into and divide 21.6 divided by 1.2, because remember, sometimes whenever you want to cut or whenever you want to share something, we divide the total amount divided by the number of pieces, or how big is every piece. Now, but sometimes we rely into this mistake that are we going to multiply or are we going to divide this time. For that, we can also do this formula. There was the number of pieces times the size of each piece is equal to the total quantity. And if we know that, we will always find out either are we going to divide or are we going to multiply. Well, let's see what we have here. The number of pieces. How many? So they're asking you how many pieces can be cut. So that's going to be your box there. Times the size of each piece. Do we know the size of each piece? Yes, it was a 1.2. So that should be here. That's a 1.2. Equal the total quantity. Do we know the total quantity? Yes, it's given here. It's 21 feet long. So the total quantity is 21.6 feet long. Therefore, if we're missing one of the multipliers, we have to divide. What are we going to divide? The product, which in this case, this is the product, divided by the known multiplier, which is 1.2. This is the known multiplier. So let's divide that. So it's going to be 21.6 divided by 1.2. So once again, the first always goes inside, so you're going to have 21.6 inside here, so 1.2. But this cannot be a division state. I mean, this cannot be a decimal. So for us to move it, we got to move it one space to make a whole number, and this will move one space as well. So you will end up having 12 divided into 216. So let's feed it into here. 12 divided into 216. And we ask ourselves, 12 goes into 21 how many times? And let's recall that your point is here, so your point should be somewhere here. So 12 goes into 21 once. 1 times 12 is 12. We subtract that. We borrow 1, so that's going to be 9 times. Bring the 6 down. 12 goes into 96 how many times? Well, we gotta find that out. 12 times 4 should be 848. No, then maybe 12 times 7, so 1484. That goes pretty close. Let's try one more time. 12 times 8. What will 12 times 8 be? Will be 96. Perfect. So that should be 8 times. 8 times 12 is 96. We subtract that, the remainder is 0. Therefore, our final answer should be 18 pieces. So how many 1.2 foot pieces? There will be 18 pieces. That will be our final answer. Problem 25. Today radishes cost 0.8 times as much as they did yesterday. Today's price is 0.36 a bunch. What was yesterday's price? So whenever we're given a decimal of something, it implies that we need to use some translation problem. So right here is telling you 8 times as much as it did yesterday. So it's going to be 0.8 times as much as means in our vocabulary that should imply a multiplication statement as they did yesterday. So 8.8 times yesterday is today's price. So today is equal to 8.6 times yesterday's price. So today's price is, let's translate that again, is given here is 0.36. Today's price is 0.36 equal 0.8 times yesterday. What was the price yesterday? That's what is missing. Therefore, we're missing one of the multipliers. So if we're missing one of the multipliers, we gotta divide the product, which this one is the product, by the known multiplier 0.8. So let's do that. 0.36, it goes inside, 0.8 here outside. So this cannot be a decimal, so we gotta move it one space, and we have to move this one space. Therefore, we're end up having 3.6 here. And recall, if the point goes here, the point also goes here. And we say once again, a goes into 3 0 times. 0 times a is 0. Subtract that. 3. Bring the 6 down. A goes into 36. How many times? Well, a goes into 4 times, because 4 times 5 is 50, and I mean 4 times 5 is 40, and 8 times 5 is 40, and 8 times 4 should be 32. So that will be 32. Subtract 4, and we have as many zeros as we wish. So let's bring 1 0 here. Oh, and that went 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. We subtract that 0. Therefore, what was the price yesterday? Yesterday's price was 0.45. So what cents? Dollars. So either you read at either you say 0.45 dollars, or you say 45 cents. Let's keep moving forward. Problem 26 says 15 ounces of a product costs $1.20. What is the cost of 24 ounces? So there are two ways that we can do this. One of the recommended ways is to write a phrase. It says 15 ounces is equivalent to, or cost, 1.20. What is the cost of 24 ounces? So what is the cost of 24 ounces? 24 ounces here. Cost, how much money? So for that, we have to give this. How can I turn this 15 into 24? So first we have to go through the 1, so we have to divide by 15. So 15 divided by 15, that gives you 1. So that gives us 1 ounce. Cost, how many dollars? So if I divide it by 15 on the left side, I have to divide here by 15. So 1.20 times divided by 15. So let's do that on the side. What would that be? 120 divided by 15. Well, 1.20. So the decimal goes there. Decimal should go here. So go 0 times 15 is 0. Subtract that 1. Brings 12 down. That goes 0 times 15 is 0. Subtract that 12. Bring this 0 down. and I believe that might go 6 times. Let's see, 5 times 6, 30, 90, no. 15 times 8, 40, 120. Yes, that went 8 times. 8 times that should be 120. So 120. So therefore 1 ounce cost 120. I mean 0.08 of a dollar. Now that's what 1 ounce costs. So if I want to find 24, I have to multiply times 24 both sides. So in other words, we're just left with the problem 0.08 times 24. Let's multiply that. 4 times 8 is 32. Carry a 3. 4 times 0 is 0, plus 3 is 3. 4 times 0 is 0. Leave one space here and start this again. 2 times 8 is 16. 2 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1, and 0, and we add here. What are we left with? 2, 9, 1, 0. How many decimals? 2. Therefore this should be 1.92. Therefore our final answer, what is the cost of 24 ounces, is $1.92, or $1.92. So problem 27. A solution contains alcohol and water. 75,000 of the total volume is alcohol. If the solution contains 112 5/10 milliliters of alcohol, what is the total volume? So in this problem, as we used to have in the previous chapter, what fraction of? Well, in this case we will have what decimal of. You see here the decimal of. So it means that we're going to have to do some translation problems, which in this case, let's paraphrase that. We have 0.075 of the total volume is alcohol. So let's translate that. 0.075 of stands for multiplication. So instead of writing them, we have times the total volume. Do we know the total volume? No, that's what they're asking you for. Here they're asking you what is the total volume. Therefore the total volume should be a box. Is stands for equal, and alcohol. Do we know how much alcohol is there? Yes, it says that alcohol contains 112.5 milliliters, so 112.5. And so here we once again will rely into what are we missing here? We're missing one of the multipliers. Therefore we must divide the product divided by the non-multiplier. So in this case the product is 112.5 divided by 0.075. But to do that, we must write our long division form. Let's see, what are we going to obtain? So the first number always goes inside, and the second number goes outside the divisor. But recall the divisor cannot be a decimal, so we move 1 through 3, 1 through 3. Therefore we fill this with zeros. In other words, we have 75 divided into 112,500. Let's see what we can obtain here. 75 goes into 1 0 times, 75 goes into 11 0 times, 75 goes into 112 1 time. 1 times 75 is 75. Let's subtract this. We will obtain, well, we need to do some borrowing here. So this becomes 12 minus 5 is 7, and this borrow it becomes 37. So it's like 10 minus 7 will be 3. So now let's bring this 5 down. So 75, how many times will that go? Let's try 5 times. 5 times this is 25, 5 times 37. Oh, that went exactly. So it will be 5. And also, let's see, 5 times this will be 375. Let's subtract that 0. Now bring this 0 down, since how many times does this go? 0 times. Bring the other 0. 0 times 75 is 0. Subtract 0, bring the 0 down. That goes 0 times 75 times 0 is 0. Therefore we end up having 1500. Let's recall here that there is a decimal point here, so we're done with the problem. So this will be 1500. 500 what? Milliliters. That's our final answer.